everyone. I'm Elena Armijo, and I'm the founder of the C-Suite Collective. This is a company I created for executive leadership coaching and wellness that supports C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, and founders. Now, more than ever, businesses are running faster and with fewer resources. Burnout, overwhelm, disconnection, and disillusionment are the new norm for teams struggling with an old paradigm. At the C-Suite Collective, we believe deeply that providing massive support for your teams through executive coaching and holistic practices will create an inclusive culture, higher levels of performance, sustainable change, and the organizational impact you desire. You can find us at the c-suitecollective.com. What are you taking on to create generational wealth? We'll look at that in our coaching tip for the week. And in our interview segment, we have Gretchen Meyer, my incredible financial advisor. We hope you enjoy the episode today, and remember, something powerful resides within you. I'm here to support you in seeing it and creating it. What are you taking on to create generational wealth? This is something I'd thought on and off about for a really long time, but I never really got serious about it until the last 7 years. When I first met my financial advisor, I was pretty certain, number one, that I had no clue what I was doing, but number two, that I would really never get to where I wanted to be. I had a lot of stories about growing up in New Mexico and coming from one of the poorer states in the US and what was possible for my future. I'd seen the way my family grew up, and we were middle income, not super wealthy, and definitely not the poorest. We were really grateful for what we had, and I knew that we weren't wealthy. That really didn't matter to me, and it still actually doesn't on some level. But what I got curious about when I got older, what does generational wealth actually mean? I'd seen a lot of people in New York, especially, come from families of wealth from generations before them. And I wondered, what does that actually create? And what does it make possible for people to have generational wealth? Even something as simple as hiring a financial advisor for me was full of a lot of shame. It took a long time to call Gretchen, my financial advisor, to even have a conversation with her about what it would look like to build my financial house in the future. I had always let my dad take care of the financial part of growing up, even though I remember he took us to the bank. I think I was about 8 years old when he actually took us in and said, "You will have a checking account and learn how to reconcile your checkbook." So we were taught financial awareness and money management from a young age. But even in my 20s and early 30s, I still had no idea what the stock market was, really, how it could work in my favor, and I really didn't know where to look. As a biracial Latin woman in the world, I wasn't taught in schools what I could create with my wealth. So my tip for you is look for the people that, number one, want to help you. One of the things I love the most about Gretchen's business is that she is a fighting advocate for women and their growth. She's here to help all women raise their ceiling and get really clear on what's available to them. So that's number one, is find somebody who's in your corner. Number two, take the time. Take the time to read, to understand, to get what's so, not only in your budgets and your balances and your accounts, but what's possible for the future. Number three, think about the vision that you really want to create for your family. What do you want to leave behind and why? And how does this vision tie into what you're creating in the world? Do they match? Are they aligned? Or are you simply working a job to stay safe and create more of the same? And the last thing is look at the limiting belief that might be holding you back, especially as a POC. Is there some story that your family taught you or that you saw growing up that you're still buying into, that you're not actually allowing to change? It starts with believing that you can be the first and then taking the actions I just spoke about. Today, I have with me Gretchen Meyer. She is fabulous. I cannot wait for you to hear everything she has to say. Gretchen, when I met you, well, first of all, we've never met in person, which I still can't believe. I know. But I met you via phone.
I feel like I know you so well. Like you're like just such a dear friend.
I know. Funny? We have become so close, which is very important if you're going to hire a financial planner, I think. No, but you're a dear friend and a dear soul. And I think the thing that when I first spoke to you, the thing that was captivating about you was not only how much of a stand you are for women,
but how authentic you were. I just was so glad that I was speaking to somebody that would give it to me straight. After everybody else I'd spoken to, I was like, I just need some help.
Yeah.
And you were so kind and warm and welcoming. So thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And likewise, such an honor to be a part of this program. I really feel excited that we can communicate the messaging that we have developed today to your audience and hopefully to my audience and to many more women thereafter.
Yes, ripples. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. Totally.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Well, so I got into financial planning as a complete, as you know, as a complete sort of second career. And it really had to do with finding synchronicity in my life and having it all come to being in the right place at the right time. Not that we're going to go into my life story, but we sort of have to go into my life story to sort of give you a little bit of like what brought me here today and why I'm so emphatic about helping women achieve financial independence. So going back to my childhood, my parents quit their jobs when I was 9 years old and started a business so that it was positive in the reason that it helped me give me the courage to become an entrepreneur. But from a money standpoint, my parents were always in lack and their business struggled here and there. And ultimately they went bankrupt when I was in high school. So that left me feeling quite vulnerable and embarrassed, wearing, the Goodwill clothes and living in an apartment. And it didn't feel like I was secure. And I went to college on a full scholarship, which was amazing. And I met somebody who was 6 years older than I was. He was in law school, came from an affluent family. And I immediately glommed onto that because I thought he could give me the quality of life that I didn't have growing up. And so he swept me off my feet. And, the title of this program is Prince Charming Isn't Coming. And I did not make that up. It is from a fabulous book, Prince Charming Isn't Coming. And it was this notion of I didn't have to worry about money anymore. And that is ultimately what I thought would be, my destiny. And I think this happens with a lot of women. They just want to be taken care of. And they want somebody to come along and sweep them off their feet, only to realize years later, perhaps even months later, that is not the way to get financially independent. And for many women, it happened like it happened with me. My ex, after 8 years of being together, he left and led me suddenly single with a ton of credit card debt. I was financially devastated and I had to crawl my way out of it. And so in the meantime, I was working for the NFL as a quarterback. Just kidding. No, I was working as a TV producer and I got my start in money, management, and then segued that to the NFL league office where I was managing the consumer products. And we did the non-apparel consumer products, and specifically at that time in 2006 or so, we were targeting the female audience. And I always sort of parallel it to finance and football have historically been a man's genre. And more recently, where at the NFL, I learned that women wanted their own stuff. They wanted diaper bags and hair ties and wine glasses, things that were not necessarily men's products or goods. And they wanted it just for themselves. So they wanted design, they wanted sequence, they wanted their team colors. We learned at the NFL that women are more avid fans than anybody ever realized. And so by developing a product line that was specifically for women, that wasn't dumbed down for women, but specifically for women, the NFL, essentially doubled their consumer products business.
Wow.
And so all of that led to this state where I had these sort of backgrounds. When after business school, I went into consulting, and a recruiter called me out of the blue one day and they said, "Are you interested in being a financial consultant?" And I was like, ha, like investing. But I gave it some thought. I mean, I had a very, very healthy nest egg in my 401k. I had this incredible experience of pretty much rags to riches, as a child, and then with this man, and I really felt like I can empower women to achieve what I had. What took me maybe 7 years to overcome, that I had this knowledge and this life experience that I could impart on others. And specifically, from a marketing standpoint, I had the NFL's experience as well, and knew that if I could create a unique experience for women that was just for women, that didn't look or feel like a man doing a financial plan, that I could really create a business. And so it started with one client, and then she told her friends, and then they told their friends. And now we have, I think it's about 800 clients all over the United States.
Wow.
One just moved to England, so now we're global.
Nice. Well, I heard so much in that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's always courageous to hear. I know I've heard that story, a couple times now, and I'm just always struck by the courage in it and the fortitude to get through whatever circumstances you're given in life, and who are you going to be about it is what I hear. I'd love to go back for a second. And what would you tell women who I'm aware of that maybe people grow up differently, right? And we all come from different set of circumstances. So like for me, my story was a little bit different, where it was like, you will be independent, and no matter what, you will have yourself taken care of, which actually later in life has made it difficult to partner with some people, right? Especially men in my relationships or in my finances. So what would you tell women that aren't necessarily aware that there's a possibility to have a healthy relationship with money?
Oh, absolutely. I think it all stems from your history, your background, just as you said. And I think it starts with intention. It starts with your why. Mm-hmm. And I often find that what people want and what they're doing are not in alignment. Yeah. And so when we get started with our clients, and by the way, I have to just say that the majority of our clients are not only single. When you mention, finding a partner, actually the majority of our clients are couples, but it's the woman initiating the conversation rather than the other way around. And then, sometimes the man hops on board right away, and sometimes he thinks, is confident in doing it himself. And then, more often than not, he's like, what are you guys doing over there? Can I come?
Yeah, it's been so fascinating to watch it happen even with me, with Aaron and I. He's always like, oh, you did what? With your credit score? Okay, that's cool. Like some curiosity.
Yeah. So that's kind of a neat thing. But it starts with the why as far as goal setting and having the intention behind why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that for those people who are really either struggling to feel independent or think they feel independent, but they're not quite getting to where they want to be, it's because they don't have a strong enough why. And so one of the things that I think is very powerful, it seems so easy and so obvious, but having the sense of, okay, what am I doing that is in support of my goals? And I think that you'll find that all of your other speakers would say the same thing, only in their own.
Yep, in their own field.
You heard this same kind of theme. I think that's it. So if you want to buy a house, there's going to be steps surrounding that. For example, it's not just a matter of saving for a down payment. It's about improving your credit score. It's about making sure that you understand your budget and understand all the factors that go into it, even as far as a rainy day. So once you move into the house, the second the dishwasher goes, you're not devastated by it. Mm-hmm. So it starts with a why, I think, and then everything else falls into place.
I love that. Because that's actually something that you were so graceful about creating with me in our initial conversation. And what about the women who are afraid? Right. So like, I know for me, it took a big leap of faith to call somebody and say, number one, I have no idea what you're talking about. When you talk to me about investments and stocks and literally, And every time like my blood would get hot and I'd get like, sweaty when I'd talk about this. And I just knew that I was at a point in my life that I wanted it. And so for me, through my coaching work, I actually was able to call you and say, hey, I need help. What about for the women that are a little bit scared to take that first step? What advice do you have for them?
Oh my gosh, it's terrifying, right? I mean, the vulnerability that it takes, especially if there's shame around it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Brené Brown, you are an expert in her, that she talks a lot about shame. And I think there's a lot of shame around money. And if you've had a bad experience with it, or maybe you've built up credit card debt, or you're not in a place where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a huge part of the referral network, because women want to help other women. And I think if a sister says, hey, I know you've given me tremendous referrals, and for that I am forever grateful. But I think sometimes it takes, somebody holding your hand and saying, no, she's not like other women. She can help you and meet you where you are. And I think that in the interview process of a financial advisor, it is somebody who empowers somebody who can meet people where they are and not make them feel silly or dumb. And in our practice, we specifically, because I did not come from any of this. I mean, my mom didn't graduate high school. My dad didn't graduate college. They simply were not afforded the opportunity themselves, given their house, growing up situation, to learn about this stuff. And so I came across it very, late in life myself. And so remember the chili recipe where we talk about mutual funds and they're like chili. And
yes, that was so good for me, especially being from New Mexico. I was like, oh, I get this.
Right. You're like, I relate, chili. Yes. Ooh, I like mine with corn. Yeah, it's great.
So good.
So I think that, I think if you're understanding a little bit about your own vulnerabilities, a little bit of embarrassed, then you could get past that, understand why you're feeling that way, and then make that call.
It's so brilliant. Exactly. Phone a friend. Get somebody to hold your hand when they call Gretchen.
Exactly.
That's brilliant. What I kind of want to shift to you a little bit, and who you are. What
I just gave you my life story. What else did I share?
I know, but what I'm curious about is, I'm thinking about all the people out there that are in the middle and they're leveling up in their own lives. So obviously, hiring you, a financial advisor, would be a first step. But also, what advice do you have around, I'm curious, what limiting belief did you have to give up to get to where you're at this level of business? So you're the president of your company, right? And we'll talk about your team in a second too, who you built around you to support you. But to start with, what did you have to give up to create what you've created?
I would say that I gave up when I first started, time and resources. I feel, given my humble background, I made it as a consultant in Manhattan and I was earning a great salary. And, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And, just like with you, I help a lot of women transition from the corporate world into being an entrepreneur and supporting that dream and that vision, which is so exciting. And so I did that. I literally left a great job and started with nothing. I went skydiving once, and I have a picture of an old licensee at the NFL that blew it up like a poster. And that's what it felt like. It was like skydiving, you're like, I'm just going to jump out the old plane. And so I think what I gave up was that sense of security once again, but I had started over twice. And so I knew what was the worst that was going to happen. I was going to land on my feet. And so I went from this, 6-figure salary, and I think I was earning like $36,000 a year. And, we went back to the basics. Tuna and eggs is great for your diet. I mean, it's, all of a sudden you lose a couple pounds. It's fantastic. But I think what I gained was so much more powerful. When I was building my practice, I'd go around networking, and I was new to, I live in upstate now, New York, and I was new to the community, and I'd say, I need somebody for coffee. And I'd say, look, I'm looking for girlfriends because I'm new here, boyfriends because I'm single, and clients. And if anybody could give me any of those things, one or all of them, I was so humbly grateful. So my upbringing, and how that led to getting married at such a young age, and then what, became of that. And then, having to start over a second time, I think there was a lot of anger there. And I hired a life coach. So thank goodness for you guys, because you are life changing. And I worked with somebody for 2 years. Her name is Lauren Beller. And I invested in myself. When we talk about investing, I think that was a tremendous investment. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Taming Your Gremlin.
Oh yeah,
that was a good old favorite. Yeah, and Zen entrepreneurship. So some of these teachings that she passed along to me, and the number one was gratitude. It just changed my life. It turned everything around, because I was able to find peace and forgiveness and acceptance. And anytime I'm feeling a little grumpy or angry, I always take it back to gratitude. And it's not what I don't have, it's what I have. And that's that piece, I was writing to you about being in abundance. Mm-hmm. And I think, as we talk about money, it starts with gratitude, and it's the attraction, the law of attraction, with the abundance piece of it. And so when you're feeling grateful, I feel like you can absorb gratefulness in others. And that leads to this abundant feeling that you have. And I think when I'm coaching somebody about money, and particularly entrepreneurs who are in the early stages of their businesses, do you remember what we did? We did a bottoms-up budget. Yep. It wasn't about how much you were making and then what was left over, which is what the exercise I do with a lot of people who are in corporate America, because they have what they make and then everything else flows from that.
Exactly.
But as an entrepreneur, it's like you have limitless possibilities. And so instead, what we do is we start at the bottom. We list out what we want. We want to make a certain dollar amount. We want to put a certain dollar amount into our retirement program. We want to put X number away for that house, for that rainy day fund, etc. And then we get to, well, how much do we need to make? And how many clients is that going to be? And then now we have this sense of, okay, now I'm going to make this number. And so when you think about the abundance piece of it, it's not about the limiting belief of what you have or what you can do. It's what are the possibilities, and how do you attract more, whether it's love or money or whatever. Obviously I specialize in the money part, but I think it all starts with gratitude, and it leads to so many other fabulous things.
Well, I love that that's your foundation though, Gretchen, because it makes so much sense when I was working with you. I mean, I remember I came to you and I was a hot mess. I was like, I got nothing. I'm a singer. I just tried to get by. This is what I built. And even now, what are we, 4 years in? I think something together.
Forever.
I remember when you told me, you were like, this is what we need to put in monthly for your SEP IRA. And I was like, that's a stretch. And I was like, okay. And you were like, just breathe. We're going to start small. And here we are 4 years later. Like, oh yeah, that's nothing. That's great. Yeah. Yes. And I'm constantly calling you like, okay, what's next? What shall I do next? Because yeah, you definitely set the foundation for that. So I have so much gratitude for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. You're a badass, powerful woman. So tell me about your team. How does a powerful woman create a team?
Well, again, gratitude. I just am so tremendously grateful for my team. And the team is many, many people, not just the people on my staff. It's, it takes a village, certainly for this person. So I'm a huge fan of outsourcing, because I do what I do. And I think fairly well. And then if I don't like doing something, or if I am very, honest about not doing it well, I just will say, somebody else, take the reins, pretty please. So, my team for my group, I have Tanya and Kelly, who are my admin, and they help to service all of our clients. So somebody needs a bank change, or somebody needs a beneficiary change, or, we need to help you log in, any of that kind of stuff. Thankfully, they're there. I don't even know how to help somebody log in. I'm like, phone a friend, let me just get you set up for that. Yeah. And then Mark is, it's funny with Mark, I was hesitant because of, we're all about female power, and Mark expressed an interest in he was our intern, and he expressed an interest in joining the team full time. And I was like, a man joining the team. But I was like, it's actually going to be tremendous from his point of view and what this is all about. And he's added such a tremendous energy to our group. That's fabulous. And he does all of our portfolio construction. So, and while I'm all about consulting with clients and, being right there, and it's like, tell me more. And then what happened, right? And we get so enthralled and entrenched in like the what's and the whys. And, my meetings are always so long that, other advisors, are like, what are you guys talking about? It's like, we have to know the whole thing. And so that's wonderful that I feel so supported by my group. And we also recently just brought in a new advisor, which has been very interesting to me.
Congratulations.
Yes, and it's fabulous. Thank you. Because, I'm only going to be able to ever help so many individuals. So how do I help? I see this as like, it could be like a national thing where we can just continue to bring on more advisors who can help more and more women with the same sort of philosophy and methodologies that I have. So it's been awesome. Laura is her name. And she is just fabulous. And so she has a story of her own too, as we all do, of her journey to becoming financially independent. And it's just as incredible. So beyond that, my husband is, so after the trauma, it took me many years to get over that. And then some life coaching and then some gratitude. And he appeared. I can't believe he took so darn long to get to me, but he's here now. His name is Chris, and he is literally the most amazing man I have ever met. So I have to give kudos to him. And, to my mentors, I have a mentor. I have, a mentor in the business, and to my family also for my support, all along the way. So there are so many people, as part of my team, and it's tremendous to have emotional support, financial support if necessary, and encouragement, because sometimes being an entrepreneur is quite lonely. So having, the folks that I can rely on. I'm also a part of WPO, which is Women's Presidents Organization, and EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and having also an ear among other entrepreneurs is super helpful, as I'm sure you know.
I love that, man. Yeah. And I just hear that you really are leaning into more and more. The more support you have, the more space you have for you to keep creating what you want and your dreams. Yeah,
exactly. And you need to sort of step away. I take sometimes the weekends to journal around it, or to really think about the possibilities and the what ifs. And isn't that so fun about being, your own boss? It's like, what else can I do?
I don't think I can ever go back.
Oh my gosh, I am completely unemployable at this point. So
yeah, really, I don't know. I don't know if I could sit through an interview anymore.
No,
being like, I want to build this. Okay, so you've built this empire. It literally is an empire now, and becoming even more of an empire for women. So I like to say that people on this show are disruptors, which you've already been. You've already changed the shape of how women are viewing themselves, their money, their partnerships in money, big conversations. So what do you see is next for women? Like, what's your vision with disruption in the world through what you do?
I honestly think it's just reaching more women sharing this with other women, and really changing the philosophy that investing is a man's domain. I think that, one of the things that I want to make mention of it is that how women's needs are different than men. It's not that the financial advice I provide is any different for a man versus a woman, but we have some things going against us that are unique to us as women. For example, statistically, just the way it is, we earn less than men still, and minority women earn even less, but we live longer. Statistically, we live longer, and so our money needs to last us longer than maybe a man does, in retirement. And more often than not, we're the ones who take time off to raise children or to take care of sick parents. And so therefore we might be out of the workforce for a period of years. And being out of the workforce means we get less Social Security and sometimes less pensions than do our counterparts. And fourth, when we're elderly, we tend to drop what we've got and take care of our spouses and put all our resources into them, leading us to potentially fall prey to having no extra resources to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And women also tend to be more conservative investors. So given all of those things that we don't have the same resources, we just aren't afforded the same resources, and they need to take us a little bit further down the road. I think it's understanding all of those shortfalls or, watch outs. And so therefore having that awareness and say, early enough, hopefully, and saying, okay, well, great. Okay. That is my situation. I can't do much about it. But, in terms of, changing things per se right now, but what can I do differently? How can I take action knowing all of these variables? And so to me, it takes one person at a time, coming to that realization and saying, all right, sleeves up, let's just roll with it. And then that woman tells her mom, she tells her daughter, she tells, the next person, her friend, and then on and on and on. And if we create this movement all over the world, we will change how women handle their money and learn about investing and the power of investing and become financially abundant and independent.
And it sounds like through that, access to much more freedom and
it provides opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity. Exactly. Yeah. Whether it's now or later in life too, as you speak to in the elder years.
Yeah, money is not the be all end all, of course. I mean, who wants, $3 million to just sit there? Even in an investment, you're like, ta-da!
Yeah, I did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
So it is, and the right amount of money is not the same for everyone. Right. Sometimes people say, well, how much do I need? And I said, well, that all depends. Let's build your lifestyle. Let's talk about what you want in terms of, do you want an RV, to travel around the United States with? Do you want to have a second home? Do you want a BMW or do you want a Honda? It really all depends. And once you kind of get that piece, then you can, again, it goes back to the why, then, you can find the right dollar amount for you. But it's as far as having this sense of practicality on it and knowing what you need, it is what makes all the difference, because it's not a one size fits all.
I love that answer. Oh, yeah. Man. So good. Okay. So I've been asking every woman, if you had a megaphone to lead us all into the next year, what would you say?
Go for it. I mean, this is a huge opportunity when you are faced with adversity, and so many people right now are, it brings opportunity. I mean, I'm living proof of it. How did I turn my life around going from one thing to another? I I want to scream to the world that people could be anyone they want to be. They can reimagine themselves. They can take risks and go after it. And I think 2020 has been, I mean, January 2nd, I got into somebody T-boned me. And that's how my year started, right? So it was like, woo, okay.
Yeah.
And, we all get through it. Phone a friend if you need to, rely on others. But I would say that if you have an idea, if you've been wanting to do something but have been scared to do it, now's the time to break through.
Oh, I love that.
Excited.
Gretchen, you're incredible. Thank you for your vision and your passion and your heart and your stand, especially for women, to reinvent who they are through money. It's incredible. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, absolutely, Elena. Thank you so much. I am so proud of you and I love you so much. And I think you are just fabulous and absolutely incredible. And I'm so grateful to know you and to be a partner with you on this journey.
Thank you. You are truly my partner. Thank you for always having my back. I love you so much.
Always. All right. These days, I'm normally a hugger, but I do air hugs.
Okay. I love you.
COVID friendly.
Yeah. No, I love that.
If this conversation sparks something for you, let it move through your week. Take it with you. Take on one small action to move the ball forward. And if you want to join our community of leaders who are daring to lead with courage and heart, you can find that at www.elenaarmijo.com or www.thec-suitecollective.com. I reserve a small number of complimentary 20-minute sessions for leaders who want clarity on what they need and insight into what is getting in the way. The practical next steps that create real movement and results in your leadership journey. So you can schedule a call through the link below. It's in the description. Like, subscribe. Thank you for listening, for showing up, and for doing the work of being human together.